over the old paths, where is the good way, and walk therein, and ye shall find rest for your souls. From the prophet Jeremiah. Welcome to the Chasing Ebenezer show. We talk, we play you music, and encourage you to create. This season, we invite you to join us as we create around a central theme each episode. We encourage you to find the path by making. Well, welcome to the Chasing Ebenezer show. This is our Labyrinth theme month. We'll get more into that in a bit, but I'm Heidi. This is Benjamin. Welcome.
Welcome. We're so excited to be here. We want to say thank you to our patrons who support us each month. If you want to be involved in our Patreon community, you can just search Chasing Ebenezer on the Patreon website, pick whatever amount you want to give each month, and you'll get stuff from us. And you'll be the first to get our new album when it is released. We're in the middle of working on that right now. I've been tracking some cool violin over the past couple weeks. You're doing a really good job, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. And we're really grateful. Your support has helped us. We've got a new camera. So hopefully you can tell a better quality in the visual.
And,
if not,
and if you can't, just lie. Just say.
Now.
So what is your creativity teaching you?
Well, I've been doing a lot of decluttering in our garage, and it's a lot of stuff in there. But I keep finding stuff that I did in the past that I don't even remember that I made. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, or if it says something about my the way my brain works, that I forget things, or maybe when I'm creating something, I'm in such a zone that I'm not even aware of what I'm doing. I don't know. It's odd to me that I find stuff like, oh my goodness, I did this.
It could also be that you're just that prolific, that you're creating more things than you can remember.
I don't think that's it. And some of the stuff is terrible. Some of the stuff I'm surprised at. So it's interesting to look at the course of your life and the things you've made, and just I think it's good to do, and you never know what you might find.
It was funny. I was actually just down in the garage getting stuff to set up in here, and first off, you've done a great job. It's looking really, really good.
Well, it's only looking like a semi-disaster.
Well, you can walk in there now, which is huge. I mean, there's a lot to be said for that. But because we went through our you went through our CDs yesterday, and I saw them all stacked, and I saw my old box, because we grew up when CDs were the most current thing. And I started going through all of the CDs that I had before I came up, and I was just like, oh my goodness, I remember I bought that. I remember this artist. I remember this artist. And like, there's just so many memories attached to it.
Yeah, it kind of feels like you're sucked into this time warp almost when you look at the things you had growing up, different, older technology. Yeah. Better
technology. I still think CDs sound better. Anyway.
Okay then.
What I'm learning this month is probably similar to what I was learning last month, but it's a little bit more nuanced. Because each month I'm trying to write or finish a song to, show. And so the song for this month really was a start to finish thing. And I'm learning not to force an idea into a box, especially when it comes to songwriting. Because when I started writing this song, you'll hear it later, it's definitely got a different vibe than what I'm used to writing. I kept trying to fit it into something else, an old chord progression, and no matter what I did, it just wasn't right. It just didn't fit. So I kind of had to go where the song naturally wanted to go. and I'm really happy with what I came up with. But it definitely feels more positive than anything I've ever written. So, for all of you who are like waiting for me to write a song in a major key, here you'll get to listen to that a little bit later.
You've gotten a lot more you've done that a lot more. It's not the only song that sounds positive.
But this one sounds positive. I was kind of surprised.
So what I'm taking away is that you try to control your artwork.
Yeah.
And you need to not control it if the way it's going it's really obvious. It's flowing in a different direction.
Well, and it's probably like you as a writer. When you're writing, your characters begin to take a life of their own. And if you're trying to force them into a certain category of behavior, the story immediately loses its...
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what I'm learning. That took a very long time to say that, but that's what I'm learning. So as you already said, for this show, the word for this month was the word labyrinth. Now, I do want to ask you, I didn't plan to do this. Why did you pick this word? I mean, this word just popped in your mind. Did it just pop in your mind randomly?
I picked it?
You picked it, yep.
Okay. I think you took a video of a labyrinth last month, maybe.
I did.
And so that's probably why it was on my mind.
All right, cool.
There was probably not much more deep introspection than that.
Hey, that's good enough. Well, anyway, this is what we came up with, and if you are creating based on this word, we would love, love, love to see what you're making. Here we go. When was the first time you heard the word labyrinth?
I don't know the first time. I don't remember when it was, but it just totally, for some reason, made me feel scared. Like falling into a deep pit or tunnel or something. I think that's what I envisioned Labyrinth to be.
I first heard it back in the 80s with the movie. Obviously, the Jim Henson movie. And that was, as a kid, that was a pretty scary movie. But that was like the only time I really ever heard it. And I knew it was connected to something like a maze or a path, but didn't really think too much of it.
We also had this marble game that we played. The board would tip and you had to navigate it. So I don't remember if that's what the game was called. So that was, you didn't want the marble to fall into the hole, into the pit, as you tried to navigate it to the end.
As an adult, the word came back around before we moved out here, and it was in reference to something called a prayer labyrinth, which I really hadn't heard much of, but when I did research, it kind of communicated mystery, it communicated beauty, and I just knew I had to go find one and walk it. What would you say is the difference between a maze and a labyrinth?
They're similar in that there's lots of windings and back and forth, but a maze will have these dead ends and these abrupt stops, and then you have to turn around and go back out to find a new path. And you're not always sure if the direction you're going is going to lead to the center. But a labyrinth, there is one path, both in and out. There's not all these dead ends, but it does have these windings back and forth, and you definitely have a trip to go on until you reach the center.
Yeah, when I think of mazes, it's almost anxiety-inducing because you're afraid of getting it wrong.
Because what would that mean?
Well, it means that my pencil will... Because I always think about pencils and mazes. Like, it'll be all messy and gross, and it just carries a lot more of a pass-fail, right and wrong answer kind of thing. Versus a labyrinth communicates process, communicates journey, it communicates ebb and flow. So if we're looking at maze and labyrinth, which one do you think we more tend to view life as?
Definitely like a maze, because there's so much failure that we are afraid of. Or I know in my own life, these little mistakes can just feel like epic failure, and then that can usher in false identities, stupid, idiot, moron, all that stuff. So I think the invitation is to view it more like a labyrinth, which is still a work and is still a process and turns and winds and all that.
Viewing life as a maze, for me, always makes me feel like I'm going in the wrong direction, or always wondering if I'm going in the wrong direction, which can be very, very, very stress-inducing and make it really, really hard to progress in anything because you're always second-guessing yourself.
The thing about a labyrinth is that you are constantly changing direction. You know, your north, south, east, west, that's changing, but the destination and the end place never changes. So you might be adjusting and turning, but you're still on the right path, and it's only going to take you to the center. You just have to keep going.
Let's think about labyrinths in terms of art. How do labyrinths relate to creativity?
If you look at many artists over the course of their life, you will see a progression. Generally, people do grow and morph, and it's interesting because, especially with music, it can actually cause initial outrage. If there's a musician who has a very specific sound, especially on their first album or their first couple albums, and then they deviate from it, people can really have an initial negative reaction. But then as time passes, people will go back often, and I've done this, they'll reflect later and think, wow, that next creative step was actually brilliant. I just didn't realize it at the time because I was expecting them to stay in the same exact sound versus they evolved, they tried new things out. Sometimes, maybe it wasn't so great. But the evolution of creativity definitely is something we need to let artists have the freedom to experience.
Thinking about labyrinths in terms of process for artists, I think is another angle to see. Because if you think about the center, that's the finished work. And labyrinths are not a straight line. It's not just you start and you go to finish. There's this whole long process that goes into making art. And at least for me, it is always longer and more complicated than I intended it to be. And so my choice is to either think that there's a deficiency in me as an artist, or that's just part of the process, that's part of the journey.
This month I created my own labyrinth. It's a digital art piece that, as you can see, is the labyrinth using the shape of the human heart as its guide. And this will be available for all of our supporting monetary patrons. This will be your digital art piece of the month. So I really encourage you to, even if it's just a little doodle that you do on the side of your notebook, try making your own labyrinth.
The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood. And sorry I could not travel both and be one traveler, long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other, as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear, though as for that, the passing there had warned them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black, Oh, I kept the first for another day. Yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere, ages and ages hence, 2 roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by. And that has made all the difference.
Love is a labyrinth, never moves in a straight line. One flesh, one desire, one step, now we're making ice from fire, ice from fire. Love is a labyrinth, not a maze, but a winding road. 2 hearts can beat together through war and peace and never let go. They move real slow, 'cause there's a push to every pull and an into every out. 1 minute it's all good, the next we're having doubts. So maybe love is a crisis of faith. Maybe love is a journey we make to find home. Love is a labyrinth, it's in the living that we truly find what's in our minds. Don't know if we're in the dark or what's in our hearts till someone kind turns on the lights. 'Cause there's a push to every pull and an into every out. 1 minute it's all good, the next we're having doubts. There's a push to every pull and an into every out. 1 minute it's all good, the next we're having doubts. So maybe love is a crisis of faith. Maybe love is a journey we take. I remember you as a young woman, long hair and eyes sky blue. I imagine us when we are older. One thing is true, I'm in love with you. Love is a labyrinth, not a concert but a silent film. From death to the wedding ring, true love lies in between when no one sees, just you and me. 'Cause there's a push to every pull and an into every out. 1 minute it's all good, the next we're having doubts. There's a push to every pull and an into every out. 1 minute it's all good, the next we're having doubts. So maybe love is a crisis of faith. Maybe love is the journey we make to find home.
Well, that's what we have for you guys. That's what we've made. And now it's our turn to give you some ideas for how to create your own labyrinth stuff.
All right.
Do you want to go first?
I do have one. I have two ideas. Okay. The first one would be for you to find a labyrinth in your area, a prayer labyrinth in your area, and go walk it. And
could they skip it?
You could, if you have other people that happen to be walking it at the same time, that might disrupt the mood.
That might disrupt them. That's true.
But a couple of encouragements about that is like go slow and pay attention to the emotions that come up. Pay attention to whether you feel hurried and anxious because you're slowing down, or if you are feeling more relaxed. Kind of journal about your experience. And if you want to find a labyrinth in your area, honestly, if you just type in the word labyrinth locator, it's a thing, and you type in your zip code, it'll show you prayer labyrinths that might exist near you. So that's one.
Well, if you have a space, you could make one. Like if you have a yard, or maybe you share a community garden type area, maybe you and your neighbors would want to create one.
That's a great idea.
If you don't, like Ben and I don't have a yard, you could create one like I did earlier with art. You could create it with stones, maybe just the experience, I think, of creating a labyrinth or a maze is really, really fun. I think there's something about the movement, however you're using that movement.
Yeah.
It's very soothing, I think.
I like it. Another thing you can do is, because labyrinths are definitely kind of like a journey to a location, but it's definitely not an efficient journey. So we've become so spoiled with technology, with GPS and phones and all that. Buy yourself a map, and I'm talking a paper map of your area. Pick a place to go to and chart out your trip.
That sounds like so much work. That sounds like so much work.
That's why it's a suggested prompt and not a homework.
Maybe you would want to create a map of a place, maybe of your neighborhood, or you could recreate a famous area and then frame it. I don't know why I'm doing this with my hands.
I know. It's so... I'm like, I feel like I should add some like trails in post-production so that way people are just really tripped out.
I don't understand why I can't keep my hands still, everyone. It's not intentional. Something that I love to see is when people create those domino maze thingies.
Oh, yeah,
You know what I'm talking about? Is that what they're called? Domino mazes? Dominoes.
You make things with dominoes.
Yeah, but when people make the big old paths, and then when they're all done, then they knock them down and I like the sound, especially and then it's like you created something, but then it's destroyed. Oh no! But if you take a video, you'll have it forever. So
it's true. So play with dominoes.
Play with dominoes.
That's what you're saying.
Okay. That is a great one.
I like it.
If you're not into making something right now, you could read a story or watch a movie of a journey, a hero's journey. Lord of the Rings, Hobbit,
Homeward
Star
Bound.
Wars. Homeward Bound. Oh my goodness. We just watched Flow.
Yes.
Okay. I can't. We were like sobbing at the end, so there might be a lot of crying happening. But Flow has it's no words.
There's no dialogue, and it is such a beautiful story. So well done.
Gorgeous.
And yes, you will cry. Yes, you will.
So watch a journey of some character or read it, and that would be a good one. I was thinking a lot about our own personal journeys as people, especially if we're working on something or trying to accomplish something. And it can be really, really discouraging sometimes when it feels like you hit those walls or you can't push forward. So thinking about how to incorporate other people into what you're doing would be really, has been really helpful in my life. So thinking about who's helped you in the past and been an encouragement to you. And if you're in a stuck spot or a discouraging spot, who could you invite in? And then you could turn it around. Is there someone that you know who could use your encouragement in whatever project or endeavor they're on, and how can you help support them? Because honestly, for me, I just need someone to say, you can do this. Don't give up, keep going. And that will make often all the difference in my capacity to not become discouraged. So involving community in whatever you're doing.
I like it.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Let's see. My notes here seem to have reached the end of their journey.
All right. Well, then that's our show. And the word for next month is going to be the word chrysalis.
Oh, I got to even make sure I know how to spell that.
I thought the exact same thing.
We'll make sure we know how to spell it.
If cocoon is easier for you, go for that. But
I think I know. That is also not the easiest word for me to spell. Is it? I think I know, but I'll make sure I know how to spell both.
I'm admitting nothing.
And if you are a supporting patron, make sure that you view our little video on me watching Labyrinth, the movie, for the first time and some reflections on it.
All right. Well, have a great month, and we will see you soon.